Hello, everybody. Today we're gonna talk to Daniele Pelassa, and I just invited him to join the call. So we're gonna talk about the family winery in Piemonte and what they're doing, what wines they're making, what kind of grapes they're using, some history about the family. So we're waiting just a minute for Daniele to join us in the call. And then we'll start with the program. So everybody, thanks for joining in, and we'll start in a couple of minutes. And meanwhile, if you have some questions, you can drop the questions in the question box in the bottom, and we try to answer them at the end of the show or in between if it's opportune. So be sure to ask your questions.
Hello.
Hello, Daniele.
How are you?
Doing well. What about you?
Good, thank you. Everything okay?
Everything okay. I'm happy that you can join us.
Nice to see you.
Yes.
Nice to see you, and nice to thank you so much for hosting me tonight for this event.
Yeah, I'm happy to do so. I mean, there's a lot of things to talk about your family, about the winery, about the region. So I think it's going to be interesting for a lot of people. Let me start for everybody to introduce first a little bit the show, because as you know, it's the first edition, so you're actually the first guest that we have. When I started this Instagram page in spring, I think. Initially, it was just pictures and stories, and I decided to start a talk show format. And we didn't want to talk only about winemakers and wines and wineries, but everything about wine. So we have different guests in the next 6 episodes, and obviously there's also winemakers. So 3 of them is actually winemakers, of which you are one, Daniela. And then the program is posted on the Instagram page, so everybody can see who are the next guests, and it will run until January, after which we will try to invite some new guests to talk about other topics that we didn't discuss. So happy to have you here today, Daniela. We're going to do some tasting as well, but just as one part of the show. But first, maybe you want to do an introduction about yourself and about the family and a little bit about the winery already for the audience.
Yeah. So I am Daniele Pelassa. With my family, we run the Pelassa winery. I work with my brother, Davide. We are the 3rd generation of the Pelassa family, because my parents, my father started officially the winery in the 1960s. So this year the winery had 60 years old. But my grandparents, both sides, my fathers and my mother, were farmers. So not just winemakers, but they were general farmers. They had vineyards, they were producing wine, but they also had animals and other general agriculture. So we are now the 3rd generation. Until my parents were in full business, they were very much concentrated in the local market, in the Italian market, in the North Italian market. Now, with me and my brother, we started to do the and in our vineyards. And now we try to present our wines. I don't want to say all around the world, but almost. So yeah, that's it's the typical way that of growing of a family-run business, family-run winery here in Piemonte. Small size. We have now 15 hectares. We are based in Montadalba. That means in the Roero area. So we don't produce. We are quite well known also for the Barolo because we also have a production of
Hmm.
Barolo. But the main seller is in Montadalba is in the Roero area. So that's why we produce Roero Arnais, the white wine, and Roero Rosso, 100% Nebbiolo grape from the Roero region.
Okay, good. I think what surprised me, one of the things that surprised me was the fact that you actually, if you compare to some other wineries in the region, or most wineries in the region, you're relatively young. Well, you said yourself, third generation. So if you compare to some of the old timers, I think this is still relatively young. How do you see this as I would say, a difference between the more traditional winemakers that are in the region?
No, sometimes we producers from Piemonte, we had the possibility to have our colleagues, very famous colleagues, that were presenting Piemonte wines all around the world since, let me say, 100 years. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
of course, that kind of wineries, very established, very well known, are the benchmark for everybody of us. We, as new generation, have now the possibility to present our products. Of course, we are always compared with the big names, with the historical names, but we consider that a plus. So we have a great ambassador that prove all around the world that Piemonte is a land of great wines. Of course, the new generation has always something to prove. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we have to always to keep our very best in order to keep the same quality as the big names. And so every year, every vintage is a challenge, and but it's very it's a nice job, and we have a lot of patience, and we work every single day in the vineyard, in the cellar, to make the best grape as possible, the best wine as possible.
Okay. Yes. Maybe I will show for the audience. Well, some people probably know already where you guys are located, but for those who don't know, if you look at the map, this is like the central and northern part of Italy. The orange region is the Piemonte region. So obviously, this is a very high-level map. But if you go a little bit more in detail, and it's hard to see, but this is like beyond the Piemonte region. You see the Barolo, let's say the dark circles, dark blue. And if you go up, you see Roero, for example, is where you have quite a lot vines, vineyards. So maybe you want to
Yes.
explain us a little bit about the different vineyards that you have, because you do produce a couple of different wines and you have different locations.
Yeah.
So maybe you can tell us a bit about it.
Yeah. Yes. So as I said, the main cellar is situated in the Roero area. That means on the part of the wine district. So we belong to the Alba wine district. So there are two big wine districts in my region, Alba and Asti. So Roero belong to Alba district. And we in the main difference from the Roero region, wine region, and the Langhe, so the Barolo wine region is the soil. The Roero is a younger terroir, so on our hills, under our feet, only let me say 1.5, 2 million years ago, there was the sea. So this is geologically speaking, is a very short time. So our hills grow up from the sea very, very late compared with the hills where we have the vineyard of Barolo. That means in the Roero area we have more sand. So not only sand, but the percentage of sand is higher. And the sand gives a very unique style to the wines, especially to Nebbiolo and Arneis, to the white wine. So the Nebbiolo grape is, we consider maybe the best grape that we have in Piemonte. But is very fascinating because it is very sensible. So considering the different soil, the different areas, the different exposure, the different condition of the weather, it can change very much his style. So the Roero area with this good percentage of sand gives a very unique, elegant, feminine touch to this wine, to this grape, and that what makes this terroir very special. On the other part of the region where we have vineyard for the Barolo, for always Nebbiolo, but in the Barolo region, the soil is different. It's more clay, more limestone. The age of the soil of the vineyard of the territory is more old, like 9, 10 millions year older, and that makes the difference between Barolo and Roero.
So, and you said something very interesting when we first did a talk about having you in the show. You were also talking about anise, because obviously everybody knows the red wines from the region, but you produce both red and whites. So the anise, what is the reason why you at some point started to grow also this grape? Or was this from the start, or?
Yeah, actually, it is a very funny story because the Arneis grape is very old in my region. We have books where we can read speaking about this grape already, like in the 60th century, so very much very long time ago, but it was almost forgot. About 30 years ago, more or less, there was a new trend in the wine making in the wine region, and the demand of white wines, of indigenous grape of white wines, was growing little by little, and there was a new wave for this grape, and it is very typical of this area, and with a very classical minerality and salty taste and aftertaste that makes this wine very unique.
Okay. And if you look at the picture,
and now in terms of numbers of bottles produced, is I mean not just for Pelassa wines, but in general for my region, for the Roero region, we produce more Roero Arneis, Roero Bianco, the white wine, than the Roero Rosso.
So it completely
Much
changed
more.
basically in the last 10 years or 15 years. What is it?
Yeah, it's very strange, but that is like the things were running the last
you
years.
have
Yes, the white ones
you have so many grapes in Italy that some you forget and then they come back and the audience likes it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
somebody tries and
yeah,
it's a success, huh? Now it shows. So if you look at the picture, you can see it right on the on my screen. Which area is this in the trips to the vineyards?
yeah. This is the vineyard of Barolo of Verduno.
I don't know.
Yeah, so if we compare, I know if some of you were already in my region, there are quite a different kind of landscape. This beautiful picture shows how the Langhe, so the Barolo and Barbaresco vineyards and hills are. So very sweet hills and almost almost only vineyards. So now in this part of the wine region, the wine growing is almost the only
You
one.
only find the houses plus the vineyards, basically.
Yeah. Just you see at the very bottom of the hill some hazelnuts trees, just a few, but because the other part of the land is used where we cannot plant vineyard, we plant hazelnuts.
Okay.
Is a good complementary product for the
And then you get
producers.
beautiful pictures like this one, for example, and also
Yeah, yeah.
for which obviously Piemonte is
Then
famous.
in this vineyard, we are in the Roero. Not exactly in that picture, but in some other. You can see in the Roero is more. There is, yeah, like that one. You can see on the landscape there is full of forest. Still, not just vineyard, not just hazelnuts, but it's still a lot of trees, a lot of biodiversity. That's the main difference between the Roero landscape with a lot of biodiversity, very important for the wine growing, very important, and the Barolo and the Langhe and the Langhe landscape.
And if we talk about the anise, then this is the anise grape, right?
Yes, yes, this is and harvested in the very typical red basket. All the harvest is done under manually, so we run in the vineyard that we can see exactly at the bottom of the grape. This is one of our best vineyard. Actually, this year, 2020, we probably will release our first single vineyard Roero Arnais exactly from that vineyard, from the Tucci vineyard.
Oh.
Yeah, it will be a new wine, new release.
Because you already have quite some wines in the assortment, right? I mean, if you look at the website,
Too much.
How much do you have at the moment?
No, it's like 10 or 11, but 90, let me say 95 or 97% of our production is for three different grapes. Arnais for white wines, Barbera, and Nebbiolo. But our grape are so nice and unique that we can really have very different wines depending on where the vineyard grows. So that's why we have so many wines, because we try to maintain the difference from vineyard to vineyard, from terroir to terroir.
This is a Nebbiolo, right?
Yeah.
That's the same. I mean, both are equally pretty, I would say.
Small fruit and the quite nice punch, and I mean it's very, very clear to understand it is Nebbiolo, yes.
So, and tell me a little bit about export, because we talked about it, and you said yourself in the introduction that it changed totally, going from domestic sales to now also exporting quite a lot. So, what are we talking about in percentage, and which countries are for you now at the moment the well, most important export countries?
Yeah, at the moment, the winery export about 85% of the production. So the local market is important. The 15% is anyway the most important market in terms of percentual. The rest, so the Italy is especially northwest of Italy, so Torino, Milano, and our corner is important. But yeah, we export in many countries the rest. But that means no more than 10% in one single country. So we have a small and customer in spreading almost all around the world. So a little bit especially in Europe, is in Germany, in Holland, in Belgium, in Denmark, in Norway, in UK. I mean the classical markets, but also in Asia, Singapore, China a little bit. And we started this week in Korea, the first shipment. Yeah, sometimes
You have to do something very crazy and new.
yeah, it's so, you know, it's not just a matter of business. It's a matter of being also a little bit proud of us that we can see our wines in a good restaurant, in maybe not in these days, but in a good wine shop in Seoul or in Tokyo or in I don't know, in Germany or in
It's a
Holland.
branding as well, huh? Obviously. You talked already about the name that the region has and in the world, but then you have to find your own place there as a winemaker. Also, when you look about size, okay, there is things you can do and things you cannot do. You guys recently invested also in the facilities. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because you had a new project for the winery.
Yes. So first of all, when me and my brother started this working and with our parents, we decided it was the first priority was to increase our vineyard. So to find the best vineyard available in our neighborhood. And we were lucky enough to grow a little bit, not too much, but now we have 15 hectares. And 15 hectares is a good size for two brothers, to make I mean, to do things in the best way as possible. So my brother take care of the vineyard, and me, I'm taking more care of the cellar and the public relation. After this first step, we understood it was the winery, the old winery, was not enough efficient as we needed. So we decided to build a new one. So we are still in the process of building. Actually, we are already using it, but we have a new, I think, very nice, very efficient new winery that really allow us to make the best things as possible. I mean, we have an underground cellar for oak aging in the best temperature, natural controlled conditions, perfect humidity, stable temperature all year long. I mean, if we wanted to grow in terms of quality, it was very important to find a better way to work. So that's why we decided to make this new project. And
Plus you also
we have
invested
also,
in facilities for visitors. Huh? I mean, it's tourism
yeah,
is very important, obviously, for the region and for you also to showcase your wines. So you invested also there.
yeah. Yes, inside the new winery, we have a new wine shop where we can sell our wines, of course, to tourists, of course, to local people, and yeah, there is a lot of we have a lot of guests during the year. Not a lot, but we were used to have quite a lot of people here in the neighborhood, a lot of tourists. In my village, there will be in the next future the first truffle museum. You know, the museum about truffle, and that will of course be a very important possibility for all of us to have even more visitors. And of course, we want to prepare ourselves and the winery in the best way to welcome people in the best way. So that's why we have this wine shop, but we also organize wine experience like wine tours in the vineyard, tasting in the vineyard, yeah,
So people can get the
trekking.
full experience, not just the product in the end.
Yeah,
They can
absolutely.
see how it
Yeah.
grows and is made, and etc. etc.
We can visit the vineyard and the cellar, and we have a cooperation with a renting company, bicycle renting company, so they can rent a bike and they can go around in in the countryside. It's we live in the countryside. It's very unique, very wild, and
Words going,
very.
because at the moment I'm not sure if this is right now, but this was recently. What is there
Yes,
snow?
it was last week. It was last
Last
week.
week. Aha.
We had we had the first snow of the year. You see, we had like 10 centimeter of snow, and yeah, those are our vineyard in the part of Arneis and part of Barbera on front of us.
So you'll get a taste of
And
all seasons basically in Piemonte.
yeah. We have a quite. No, it's not anymore so cold as 30 years ago, but almost every year we have several snow, and
Which is good.
it's
Which is
very.
good, I guess. I mean, too cold is really not helping you with work in the vineyards, or is it? I mean, the vines are probably used also to the circumstances, but it doesn't really help if it gets really cold, right?
Yeah, yeah, but actually the vineyard do not. If the temperature go down to minus 15 or minus 20, that happened in the past several
Yeah,
times. That could be a problem.
but
But
not with 10 degrees,
some,
-10, or I
no,
don't know.
if there is some cold, a little bit cold is not a problem.
Okay, good. Then talking about the wines, it's very interesting because now you've become even more famous because you have the wines were submitted with Robert Parker, Monica Larner. She judged the wines recently. So can you tell us a little bit more about this? Because we have a number of wines that have been rated. So maybe you could tell us a bit how that went, but also which wines these are. And the nice scores obviously speak for themselves, but maybe you want to give us some
Yeah,
insights.
yeah. So it was for a small winery like us. It's the most difficult thing is to have the possibility to let this wine magazine to let them taste the wine. So to have the possibility to present the wines. There are so many wineries, and everybody want to be
Recognized.
rated. Yeah, But so this time it was we find out a way to present, at least to let them taste the wine, and it was a great success because we presented 6 wine, and actually it was 9 wine because the Barolo we had 3 different vintages, and all of them were very well received by Monica Larda, by the journalist, and by Robert Parker, and with all wines above 90 points. That is a great,
absolutely
great result for us, and that of course gave us a good visibility. I could not imagine it was so important, but
well, yeah, the thing is, you know how good your wines are. You don't have to, you don't need it for yourself to prove what the quality is. But in the end, in these days, media is very important. People judge also in certain countries, especially, they buy based on the critics and the ratings. And sometimes you think, okay, I don't need it because my product is good. I know it's good, but still, this pushes you a little bit in the spotlight. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah, for as you say, for European market is a plus, but is not very absolutely important. But in some, especially in North America, they really take care a lot.
Yeah, you see a lot the scores on the bottles, even with the on the neck, right? Because people just look for the number on the wine bottle.
Yeah. That's
something else that was interesting. When you go to the website, you see all the wines, but you even pair the wines with music.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about that? That's nice. I like it.
We have a very good friend. I have a very good friend. He's a maestro di musica. And before being a maestro di musica, he is a very good friend, and he's a very good and very nice wine lover. And when we're going to refresh our website, I asked him to try to make a music pairing for each of our wines that he knows already quite well. And so it was nice because he was tasting the wine, and he tried to pair his emotion with a symphony, and that's why it is not. I was helped by this maestro. It's not I must admit I'm not such expert in music.
But it's in the end, it's an art, and you can say the same about winemaking, right?
Yeah. But it was absolutely a good experience, and sometimes we organize wine tasting paired with wine, food, and music.
Well, I have a little surprise for you because today we're going to taste the wine, as you know, and we're going to taste. Let me quickly switch here to this one. We're going to taste the Roero Anais. No, the Roero Riserva.
Roero Riserva, the Roero Rosso.
Yeah, the Rosso. So the red one for 2017. And interesting enough, on the website, obviously, it told me which music I should pick. So I found the music, and I will just. So maybe you want to take your glass as well, Daniela, because I think you're going to tell us a little bit about this nice bottle. I'll let you do the talking because you're the expert here. So tell us a little bit about this specific wine and the vintage 2017, and what can we expect, what can we taste. And I know it's difficult to make it visual. So in the meanwhile, I will share this picture, which will make it a little bit more clearer for everybody to see how beautiful actually the wine is. So tell us a little bit more about the wine, and well, we enjoy in the meanwhile the wine.
Yeah. So the Roero again is is not yet very famous appellation, but I must say it's a beautiful terroir, and that gives a very elegant wine. So the Roero Rosso is a Nebbiolo wine, 100% Nebbiolo grape, grown in the Roero region. That means in the sandy, very quite sandy hills. And the sandy hills gives a lot of elegance. So we can combine of concentration, of power, but without unique and very, I always say, a very feminine elegance. This Nebbiolo 2000 Nebbiolo grape 2017 was a nice and positive vintage. Was quite hot during summer, but at the end was in the last part of the season, of September, the temperature. We had a very good excursion of between day and night, so temperature excursion. So it was we consider one of the best vintages we had in the last years. This wine was aged for 18 months in oak, part in botti, 25 hectoliters, so the big botti, and part in tonneau. Tonneau we mean 500 liters. Yeah, and just we try to be as much. This is our philosophy actually. We try to have the very few, the less. I mean, taste or oak.
Influenced by the oak.
Yeah, we try to be as much pure as possible. It's even more with the Roero Rosso. We must show how beautiful is this wine, this terroir, with the nice, elegant floral bouquet. And so we think this wine don't need too much oak aging, too long oak aging. This is the way we like to work with this appellation.
So what are the primary notes typically for this wine? I mean, of course, we have the oak, but as you said, it's a little bit more on the background and building the structure a little bit maybe. But for the rest, typically by the grape.
The typical when I smell this wine, I really feel the flowers. If we flowers and spice, that is what I can feel on this wine. Flowers, I mean the violet or yeah, this kind of.
So that goes your feminine touch in the wine, right? There comes the feminine touch in the wine.
Absolutely, that is exactly what I mean with feminine touch of the wine. This floral nose that makes it this wine very enjoyable, very food friendly. And in the mouth, in the aftertaste, it has the tannins as all Nebbiolos, but the tannins are very gentle, very smooth and soft. That and we can really feel the minerality of the sandy soil.
Yeah, well, this if I compare to I do also well, everybody drinks occasionally Barolo. Some people drink more than others, but okay, people know everybody will taste one in their life and they recognize this. But if you compare it to the Barolo with the tannins, for example, there's a huge difference already. I mean, and then you see this is also because of the sand soil you said. It's a very more light-footed wine, I would say.
Absolutely, yeah. The power, the concentration is not what we are looking with this wine. We are looking for the
Hmm.
finesse. We try to produce vertical wines, very fine and not a blockbuster
Hmm.
wine, but a wine with elegance. That don't mean that we are is not a wine that can don't have the power to age because all the Nebbiolo wines, but even more, our Roero Riserva has a very interesting potential, aging potential. It can age 15, 20 years with no problem, but he will always maintain his natural
Hmm.
finesse and elegance.
So actually, this is a question that came in about aging in your wines. Of course, when you have quite some different wines, even different grapes, but even differences within the grapes, what is recommended by you in terms of the aging of the wine? How long should people stock the wines in general? Do you have an indication for them?
Um, I always say the wine have Piemonte wines have a very nice aging potential. Roero Riserva can age 15, 20 years with no problem. A Nebbiolo, a classical Nebbiolo, 8, 10 years. A Barbera, 7, 8 years. That is what we always say, but make a difference, a great difference. It makes the aging condition.
Yeah.
So by our side, and we come back to the what I was saying before. We have a natural controlled aging cellar, so we have the best condition as possible. And of course, it's important that this good condition. The wine finds this good condition also by the our
Hmm.
clients warehouse and also in the cellar of the wine
Yeah.
lovers. That's normal. In good aging condition, Piemonte, our wines can age without a problem 8, 10, 15 years depending on the appellation of the
Yeah,
wines.
I had the first time when I encountered with your wines, and that was actually how I found you at some point. It was this summer when I had a 2012. I think it was a Barbera, so it's also different, obviously. But 2012 is already getting somewhere, and you could
Yeah,
really
so
understand that. Well, it still had some more development potential, but already it added quite a lot by aging, and that was really nice
yeah,
experience, I have to say. So don't drink too early.
that's
That's the
great.
message.
Yeah, I mean, when it's early, of course, the wine are very are more easy in some way, uh, more very food
Yeah.
friendly, very enjoyable. Yeah,
Unless
but
you're going to eat it with mature cheese as a dessert or something, it's different. But I get you with like a main dish. You don't need it to be that old and ripe because the food will pick up as well in
yeah,
combination of the.
yeah. But of course, it's nice to enjoy a wine with some age, so some time on the
Mhm.
bottle, and to get the best experience of how this beautiful product can age and can evolve himself in the
Yeah.
best way as possible.
I also always ask about decanting because I know it's a personal topic. Everybody has his own opinion about it, what is needed or not. But I think it comes hand in hand with aging. What do you think about? What do you suggest about decanting the wines?
I mean, for me personally, is not a
Hmm.
must. Is not something that I mean, if the wine has a potential, if the wine is good, is the evolution was good. I mean, it's something is a that is not really
Hmm.
necessary. I think maybe it's better to open the bottle like 1 hour or 2 hours or some hours before, depending on how old is the bottle. But depending on that, I think it's better to open the bottle a little bit earlier rather than
Yeah,
decanting.
yeah.
But that is not. I mean, Arul, that is my personal way.
No, but it's important to
I
hear. I
like.
mean, you are you have the first taste about the wine. You know how the grapes develop themselves, and you have an understanding about how do you get most potential out of the wine. And of course, everybody has a
Yeah,
personal preference. This is normal.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
So I had a couple of questions coming in, and already one or two we answered. But one of the questions that we had is, what is your mood at the moment? And I know the person who asked the question is very much into emotional thinking, but also biodynamic, etc. So what is your mood having this session talking about this wine? Yeah, can you express a little bit about that?
Yeah. I mean, now we are speaking a lot about biodynamic or not biodynamic. I mean, I that's our way of thinking. We don't like to put etiquette or on our philosophy but of course we take care as much as possible to several practice that we still do as my grandfather was doing. Like for example, we are pruning this week, for
Mm-hmm.
example, but we will not prune next week when will be the full
Yeah.
moon. Full moon will come. Will come on Sunday this week, in 2 days. So and we follow that practice also with not just with the pruning but also with the bottling. Today it was a full day in the cellar because we were racking some wine, and I tried to do with not during the full moon week. Uh, that is an example, just an
Mm-hmm.
example. We try to follow as much as possible what the nature way of natural way of vineyard growing is suggesting
Yeah.
us. That is not. We are not in. I don't like to be integralist, or we try to think of what we do and what is good to do,
You
and
follow your heart.
could
You
be.
follow your heart and your instinct, basically.
Yeah, yes, without having rules to follow, because
Yeah.
we are must be biodynamic, and it has to be always, even when it's not doesn't make any sense. I mean,
Good.
we try to be
Okay.
regular.
Two more questions that I have, and then we're wrapping up. So maybe some people will have a question in the meanwhile, but I have two more on file. First one: what is your favorite grape? And the second one will come into that. What is your favorite wine? And you don't have to pick your own wine. You can maybe choose somebody else's wine. I don't know. But tell us, well, what's your personal preference?
Yeah. Yeah. My personal grape and preference for grape, of course, is in general. That is, I know, is not because I am a wine producer from Piemonte, but Nebbiolo, I am a very great fan of this
Mm-hmm.
grape. We can find the great wines with this grape, Roero, Barolo, Barbaresco. There are other wine region in the Alps, in Valtellina, in North Piemonte, Gemme, Gattinara. With this grape, we can really enjoy beautiful wines. But if I have to choose something else about Nebbiolo, I would definitely go to Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir.
Pinot
And
Noir,
then
I
the
think.
typical French
Yeah.
style, or you have a surprise, because I recently had an Italian Pinot Noir, to my surprise, from northern Italy as well, which is a very good region also for that. And it was really good.
In
Combination of Italy and Pinot Noir.
Südtirol, you
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, they make a very nice Pinot Noir. Yeah. I like the elegance of the Pinot Noir. Again, it reminds me the finesse of the Nebbiolo, and even with the Pinot Noir, even if we don't have a great structures, but we find sometimes we can find beautiful finesse that, in my from my point of view, is the best. Is what I'm looking on a wine. In a wine. So I like the finesse, the elegance, rather than the power. And in Pinot Noir, many times we can find this kind of wine.
Okay, good. Thank you. Then I'm gonna ask if there's anybody in the audience still has some questions. I think I answered most that already came in during the call. So maybe in the meanwhile, if somebody has any questions, they can drop them in the box. For the rest, while we're waiting, I would like to also ask you something, because about our next guest. Every time we have somebody in the show, and as you're the first one, you don't have anybody else asking you, but I would ask you, do you have a question for our next guest who is going to join us next week on Friday? Is Vanessa Price. Maybe you saw, but she wrote a book called Big Macs and Burgundy. And she's well, she knows really a lot about wine. She does a lot of things, but the book is one of the recent things that she did. And she's a columnist as well in the New York magazine. But the book Big Macs and Burgundy is about a normal food and wine pairing, so not sophisticated. So when you go, as it says, to McDonald's, buy a Big Mac, and you want a wine, which wine should you pick? Like simple things. This is the book that she wrote, but maybe you have a very different question for her on the topic of food wine pairing or anything else. So I will write it down, and next week when she's in the show, I will ask her.
Yeah. Okay. No, it's sometimes, we from as producer from Piemonte, we have a special a special feeling with the Burgundy word, and the Burgundy Pinot Noir from Burgundy. So I would sometimes we are used to match the Italian and the Piemonte food with the Piemonte wines, but would be nice, a good suggestion to enjoy how to enjoy a truffle, for example, with a Burgundy wine. So it would be. Now we are in the truffle season, and would be good to know her experience to match truffle, not just with Nebbiolo, Barolo, Barbaresco, Roero,
but a very
or
different wine from Burgundy. So how would it work? And
yes,
which one would she pick, basically?
yes.
Or
Yeah,
what should we think about when we pick a wine? Because it's also very important to understand. I mean, you can remember the names, but if you know what to look for, it's obviously very good as well. So I wrote it down. I will ask her
okay?
next week.
Okay, and you should ask also if the book is also available in Italy or not. Yeah, I think so.
I think it's. I got it from Amazon, so it's, I think, worldwide available. I don't know about the languages. Of course, obviously in English, I have it. But to be honest, I think it's available in maybe in more languages. I have to check. I will post more on Instagram in the upcoming week, introducing her as well. So with that, I would like to thank you very much, because we don't have any new questions coming in. So I think we went through it. Everybody can see the schedule for the next weeks. So we have some different guests. We even have, like I said, 2 other winemakers from Germany and from Spain. So we will have very different experiences. But this one from Piemonte, Roero, will stay very close to my heart, because I think you have a great story. I think you make great wines. I can testify. I just tasted one. You were kind enough to send me some others, which I will taste in time. But I have no question about the quality of that, because it all looks very good. I want to thank you for your time. I don't know if you want to add something or say something to the audience to stop. Sure.
I really hope to meet you and the friends and everybody of the people that are looking this program to the winery and to show you how beautiful is Roero, how beautiful is Piemonte.
I hope we can come soon, because I think it's really worth a visit, and we can spend a couple of hours. Everybody can spend a couple of hours visiting you and going into the vineyards, going into the cellar maybe, and tasting some of the wine. It's a full program.
Absolutely, it will be my pleasure to welcome you and the guys.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All of you.
Then for everybody else, just to mention that we hit the 5,000 followers, as some of you might saw. So we're giving away actually a bottle of wine for somebody who wins the contest. You can see it on the Instagram page. We're gonna announce the winner on Christmas Eve, so people can choose their own bottle. So maybe they will pick now one of yours. I don't know. I mean, after hearing this inspiring story, it could be that they're now convinced about Pelassa wines. So it could be very good. But everybody who wants to make a chance or take a chance to win one can go to the Instagram page. And we have the new website coming up in the next 2 weeks. So now you can read more about Pelassa wines, obviously, because we already have something there, but a transcript of this interview so that people can read it back or maybe watch the video again. And then thank you for your time very much, Daniela.
Grazie a te. Thank you. You too. Okay. And see you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Bye-bye.